Hello, it's finally here. We are at season 6.
How did we make it this far?
I don't know. I don't know. And season 5 was so long ago. That was just ridiculous. I haven't even looked. I think it might have been June or May when we finished, because we did 4 lucky dips, and then I've done 5 what ifs with Joe. And it's lovely to have you back. It's lovely. I know we live together, but it's lovely to see you, like podcast wise.
But we have to book an appointment on the
but
online to see each other, do we?
No, it's just like old school. We love our other presenters on this. We love Joe. We love you, Dom. We love you both. And anybody else that wants to come on is welcome. But you know what? It just feels like we've got back to you and me. And this is quite nice. And I think we're going to do a few.
Join me in the kitchen if you like.
Well, I'd love to, but we won't be able to do the video thing.
No, well,
we might change that. I don't know, because we're building a new website and everything. It's going to look really funky. But yeah, season 6 sequels. We've got a lot to do. This might be a lot.
Not seagulls. Sequels.
We could do, if you have a sequel film about seagulls.
Well, it could be a whole host of Steven Seagal
movies about seagulls. That's a sequel. Okay, maybe. Who knows? I don't believe there is such a film.
No.
Under Siege 2. Maybe there's a sequel in that. If there is, you've hit our home run. There you go. There's a sequel.
Yeah.
No, not 80s. Never mind. Anyway, enough of that. So the film that I promised you from the start was always going to kick off season 6 was the reason I started the idea of a forgotten 80s movie site. It's the movie that I wrote a whole web page on, critiquing it and writing a lovely essay, and probably lost it. I haven't saved it anywhere. And I even built a website for it. And yeah, I just always wanted to do this film, and it's taken 5 series.
You've always wanted to do this film?
I've always wanted to do this film on the podcast.
Oh.
Yeah, because ever since I started, I was like, well, how are we going to do this? Well, it's not a teen film. It's not action in the sense of
do action. I shoehorn this film in?
I mean, where could I do? I mean, I could have put it in Lucky Dip, but I did want to do Spinal Tap. But anyway, without further ado, because this will be the longest intro ever, before we get to it, it's Jaws 3, and it's Jaws 3 in 3D, or depending on where you watched it, which location, Jaws 3D. I'll tell you all about the history of this on the other side, but pardon me, it is a 1983 film starring Dennis Quaid, Bess Armstrong, Simon McCorkindale, Lou Gossett Jr., Leah Thompson. It's got a good roll call on this, I think. I think we're going to have a bit of fun on that.
Probably the only best bit about it.
Ooh, okay. Ooh. I know this. Do you know what? I think this is going to be brutal. But do you know what? I'll see you on the other side. Play the trailer.
With the first, you were too terrified to go back in the water. Just when you were starting to think it was safe, along came the second. Now, nature's most terrifying creature has returned in an all-new adventure. Jaws 3. A new dimension in terror. On the surface, all is calm.
It was a shark with a bite radius about a yard across.
Indicator, shark of some 35 feet in length.
Sealed apart, hear me, sealed apart. To experience Jaws 3.
Quick, fire!
is to experience a new dimension in terror. The all-new Jaws 3.
Well, the trailer does exactly what it says on the tin. There's loads of different trailers. The one that I saw wasn't that one. It was like one, did scared you witless. Two, you thought you'd never go back in the water. And three, it's the third dimension in terror. That was the tagline to this film.
Was it?
The third dimension of terror. Because, well, yeah, because it's about a killer shark in an amusement park.
In a lagoon.
Well, in an amusement park in SeaWorld.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not filled with terror though, that is it?
Well, it's
no, if you had someone walking around with a chainsaw, that would be terrifying.
What? So a killer shark gonna eat people in a lagoon is not terrifying enough?
Well,
you want the shark to have a chainsaw?
What I mean, little fins.
I mean, I'm dying to get to your score. I will. Do you know what? I am dying to get to your score, and the reason why is because I have such a lovely story to tell that I don't want the lovely story to end with. And now here's Amanda with a score. all I need to know is: are we going lower than Spinal Tap?
No.
Oh, good Lord! For a moment there, I thought that we actually were.
Is this how low can you go?
Base. Okay. Well, go for it. What score and what did you think?
Right. Okay. I gave it a 4.
Oh, that's high. That's higher than I thought. Joe, I've lost the bet, mate. Okay. All right.
There was some kind of storyline to it, and it kind of, kept my
attention.
That's the one. Kept my attention. Sorry, I'm very tired.
Is that irony?
It kept my attention. But some of the acting was just horrendous.
Well, before we go, I'm pleasantly surprised you gave it a 4. I've got to admit, I did think we might be going in the 1 territory.
No,
but
I wouldn't be that mean.
Well, I don't know because you watched it in 2D.
I watched it. Normal.
I watched it in 3D.
You watched it 3D because with all the will in the world, we've got a 3D Sony TV, haven't we? That have got like the glasses, but they run on batteries. The glasses, so we had to go and get new batteries for the glasses. Turfed Amy out of her room because she's got the 3D telly, and we made ourselves comfortable. And then I suddenly remembered, oh, it's been so long, I'd completely forgotten that watching the 3D movies with these glasses actually makes me feel physically sick because of the flickering. Oh God, it was
slight flickering. It's slight flickering.
Well, we fell out really, didn't we? So
we did.
Delayed a little bit. So I suggested, well, I'll watch it like on normal telly, and you can watch the 3D bit because, like, you can then talk about the 3D stuff and see if it would actually enhance the movie in any way. And I'll watch it in 2D and give my opinion on 2D. So that's it, really.
Okay. Well, it was better in 3D. I mean, it was because that's how it's meant to be seen. It looked really
I'm not
good.
sure though, because I saw like what was supposed to be the special effects, and it's not really that.
Well, it doesn't translate to the whole point. If you're watching Jaws 3 and you're on ITV4 or if it's on TV or something like that, and you flick it over, if it's shown in the 2D version, it's because of the way that they filmed it, which we'll get into later, that because they have to make it 2D, they take all the shine and the special thing, and it just looks pants. Basically, it looks.
Well, to be perfectly honest, I don't know.
Awful.
I don't think it would have enhanced the score, even if I'd watched it in 3D.
Well, it did because it looked sharper.
No.
And things that were coming in and out were coming in and out rather than static things. We'll get to the glass bit at the end. We'll get to that. We'll get to all of that, right? But I mean, so here's my story. I saw Jaws when I was 10. So a year before seeing this, and then after that, I was pretty much allowed to go to the cinema. So for 3 years, every Saturday before I left St Helens, where I lived, we just went and watched anything that was on. And because Jaws is my favorite film of all time, the fact that I could go and see Jaws 3 in 3D at the cinema, unaccompanied, just my mates around me, was a really big thing.
What certificate was it when it was released here?
I was tall, so I think I got in. We were quite tall, our group of friends anyway.
Would it not have been a PG?
Probably. There's not a lot of
There's not a lot of gore in it.
Well, there's the bodies and things like that, and fake as they might look, it's still a bit. It can still be a bit gruesome. But yeah, I'm just looking at the box that I've got. I'll show you that in a moment. So I loved it. The Jaws glasses came with the Jaws as the bridge, and you can go and look them up online. You can see what they looked like back in 1983. I was just in my element. This was it. On reflection, I can see that this isn't the great film that I thought it was at the time.
Do you think it's another one of those Leviathan moments?
No. It's nothing. It's nothing like that. I do have. I still, and I've seen this many times, including in glorious or non-glorious 2D. But it's. I genuinely love it in a kitsch way. I love it for what it is. I can't. I'm not going to say it's the greatest film of all time. It certainly isn't. Is it the best Jaws film? No. Is it the worst Jaws film? No. Because 4 years later, they would make the quite awful, and I mean awful, Jaws: The Revenge with Michael Caine, which has the best death scene in, but nothing else recommends that film. It is just a hot mess of strands that just don't come together at all. We will do Jaws: The Revenge at some point, but not.
Lovely.
Maybe you might duck that one out, and I might ask one of the other, or you could watch it for. I will watch it with you, and we'll just go. It is. As Mark Kermode
I'll do you a
would
deal.
say.
I'll do you a deal then.
Go on then.
Let's watch 2 and watch 4 because I've never seen either of them.
Oh, 2 is a worthy sequel to 1. It's worthy.
So why haven't we done that then instead
Jaws
of
2?
3?
Well, because I always wanted to do 3.
Oh, okay.
This is why I said, sorry, I'll rewind to the start. This is
No,
why I set
you.
up the Forgotten 80s
But if
movies.
it's a better film, surely we would have done.
Yeah, but I wanted to watch it in 3D, and I wanted to do the
3D
whole thing,
aspect.
and well, it's everything.
Okay.
Right. Well, here's the level of here's the level. Right. Okay. Sorry for you playing at home, or listening on a podcast, but this is a video thing that I'm going to show for a bit. So if you do want to see what I'm doing, go over to YouTube and just go to this part and see it.
Oh,
I will describe if I can. I searched everywhere to try and get a copy in 3D, and nowhere would have it. There was a release on, I think I've got it. It's coming up in trivia time. There was a single release in Japan of a 3D version of this film, and I remember you saying that. Where you were saying that, and I do remember this. Channel 4 showed it. Did you say that it was in Radio Times and they had the glasses in there?
I don't know if it was Channel 4. It was in the TV Times
Right.
back in the 80s, I think, 80s, 90s, early 90s.
And they showed it on TV and gave you the
glasses.
Showed it
on telly, and you got a free pair of glasses with your TV Times.
Which you could reuse to watch some of the other 3D films that came out at that
now,
time.
If people don't know what TV Times are.
Oh dear. It's like TV Guide. I'm
if
talking
you're not in
to
the UK. It used to
TV
be
Guide.
A TV guide that was published that had like stories and trivia and sort of features about different things that was on the telly. But it was the only way you could find out what was on telly unless you had the newspaper every day, wasn't it?
Right. Yeah, that's right.
Or you went to the Oracle, the teletext stuff.
Teletext.
Back in the
sorry
day.
For all our listeners outside the UK, and I'm sorry for the listeners under 40 that won't have a clue what we're talking about. But do you know what? If you've got a demographic of people that are over 40, then this one's for you.
Yeah,
anyway,
teletext.
Right.
Oh.
Anyway, so I searched everywhere, and I found on the internet Jaws 3D, I ordered it and it said, we will give it to you in the 3D format. Right? And inside is a pair of glasses, a pair of 3D glasses and the film. I was made up when that came because I was just like, this is brilliant. I watched it while you were out because I knew you wouldn't like it. And there was only one pair of glasses. So you couldn't watch it.
You watched it on normal telly?
Well, I watched it on normal telly, but it's tried to convert it to some sort of 3D. Now, what happened?
Did it not go? Oh, I don't know what this is. Oh.
No, because it's not. It doesn't need a 3D player. It doesn't need a 3D TV, but it doesn't need the battery 3D glasses.
Okay.
So the release that I saw was when they re-released Jaws 1 to 4, so to speak. I know they're not called 4, but I mean, when they released them, the bonus was, Jaws 3, we've converted it up to today's 3D. So you can use it with your 3D TVs. And at that point, I was just sitting waiting for the postman to come. I was just like, this is going to be incredible.
So is that that's not what
this is. This was imported from the States. So it took a long time to get here. And meanwhile, sorry for those listeners at home, that is so I've got my Jaws cards, bubblegum cards, and they're 3D on the back.
And so where did you get those?
Off Tinternet.
Are they like real?
Yeah, they're real, and they come with their own little 3D glasses, so you can see the back of the card. Go
on, put them on. I
can't because they're still sealed in the thing. But the best bit is, and again, I'm really sorry for those listening, but you got to see it. There's scenes from the film that didn't happen. Jack coming to rescue Philip Fitzroy's didn't happen. The shark seemingly staring at the people in the tunnel like some sort of fun fair.
Yeah, just hold it there. Yeah, shark. Yeah. Back up a bit. Yeah, got it. Right, lovely.
Right. That bit, there seems to be a swimmer in there and a shark underneath. That shark looks more real than the thing that was in the film. That didn't happen. And then the shark.
Oh my God, that's awful, isn't it?
It
looks like it's doing a teeth advert, like for some toothpaste.
Well, yes, it is. But the best bit is the description. So those listening on the podcast, it's fine now. Don't worry, we're not going to show you anything more. But the brief synopsis of Jaws 3, which is on this card, is SeaWorld, part aquarium, part amusement park. Opens with an astounding new exhibit, a captive killer shark. Unfortunately, the creature dies when it's transferred to a larger tank, and its parent, an even fiercer shark, invades SeaWorld. Tunnels are destroyed, visitors are eaten alive before brave scientists manage to blow up the savage beast. Is that the film? I don't remember that film. That sounds all right, actually. That sounds a lot better than what we actually got. But no, those are the official cards. Those are the official Jaws 3 cards, and that is the official synopsis. I'll take that film. But anyway, so what should I'm going to justify this. It's a 6.5.
Oh, I thought you were going higher than that.
Well,
6.5.
When I watched it again, I've watched it many times, but watching in 3D, it not only gave me a lot of nice warm fuzzy feelings of watching it in 3D again, but it also highlighted, wow, this film's a mess. It's wonderful, and I will always watch it. It's one of those films, if it comes on TV, I'll watch it, but it's a mess, and I can't give it. Maybe go to 7, but that just let's leave it there, because Jaws 2 is better, and Jaws is a 10. So let's let it sit somewhere in there, and Jaws 4 is worse. So, the law of diminishing returns certainly is true when it comes to Jaws. So yeah. Do you know, I feel bad giving it 6.5. 7 then. 7. I think it's fair. But it's certainly no more than that, because when I rewatched it, I'm actually getting mad writing things down on there going, what? So yeah.
So it gets so if you're giving it a 7, I've given it a 4. That's 11 out of 20 then.
Okay. Well, we're going to have different scores because everyone's going to come on. There's going to be all 4 of us at some point, 3 of us, 2 of us.
But you know,
okay. So out of a 2 score, it's 11. Probably where it needs to be. The Rotten Tomato scores for Jaws 3 is 11% for the critics and 17% for the audience. However, I don't know what it is. I think, if our memory serves me correctly, when I looked at it, Jaws: The Revenge is 0 for the critics and 11% for the audience scores.
Oh my God!
Yeah, I
Let's
just
watch
can't.
2 first.
I just, yeah, I genuinely no. Anyway, yeah, we may stray onto that because we'll talk about characters that aren't in this film that maybe should be in this film. Should we get to roll call? Should we go do roll call and then we can take this thing apart and gaze at it lovingly? In my case,
let's dissect it.
Let's dissect it. Anyway, here's roll call.
Roll call.
So Dennis Quaid. We can maybe switch it up a bit for season 6. Can we talk about the character? Did you like his character? He's Mike Brody, you know. He's been in all. Right. Mike's in all of the films.
It's all right.
Mike and Sean are in all of the films.
Are they?
Yeah.
Because I was thinking about the film afterwards, and I was like, there was actually no purpose for his little brother turning up.
What, apart to add the sort of
it had no purpose.
The love interest between him
and she was a water skier anyway, so she could have got bitten water skiing. There was no reason for him to be there, and it was really annoying because he kept referring to him as little brother.
Well, he is. He's always the little brother.
Yeah, but why do you need to keep saying it in the film?
Because he says it in the other films. He refers to him. Dennis Quaid has said of this film that he, in order to get through the film, he aggressively used cocaine, and then every frame he was incredibly high.
That couldn't have been good for diving.
I don't think he did. I don't think he did much diving. I don't think it was him. I think he went in the tank. Probably not in that frame, but yeah, they purpose-built a tank to film some of the underwater scenes. To my detriment, I did genuinely love this film, and then 15 years later went to SeaWorld and didn't put the 2 and 2 together. And there are little markers now and again saying this is the scene from Jaws 3, this is the scene from Jaws 3, this is the tank that the shark was kept in, this is this, and there's all these little nods everywhere to Jaws 3, and I just didn't know. And I still didn't know. I went back 2 years later and still didn't know, and went to SeaWorld again. And
you are such a muppet sometimes.
I know. And so when I go back, I probably would go to SeaWorld, but only for that. Obviously, SeaWorld hasn't got a good name now as it did back in the 80s, obviously, because of the film site. Is it Blackfish? I believe the name of the film.
Yeah. Wow.
Something like that. It was.
It's more of a circus, isn't it, with animals than.
Yeah.
Some kind of conservation thing.
We will get to that. Dennis Quaid started his career. He was an extra at the graduation in Stripes. Apparently, you can freeze frame it and you can see Dennis Quaid in Stripes. So, do you know what? Simply because for those people at home that can see my backdrop, Stripes is at the top corner with the pop figures. If I get a chance to shoehorn Bill Murray or Stripes into this, excellent. I do get a chance to for Howard the Duck moment, so I'm happy about that. Well, I do have one, so it's fine.
Oh, you do?
I do. I do. He was in The Right Stuff. He then appeared with Lou Gossett Jr. in a film called Enemy Mine, in which the spacecrafts were shot down, fierce enemies in a war, and they have to learn to adapt and get on. And Enemy Mine's quite a good film. But Lou Gossett Jr., you wouldn't know because he's got alien makeup on, so you don't even know it's him. You wouldn't know. Of course, probably his breakout film was Inner Space, which a lot of people fondly remember with him and Martin Short. He played Jerry Lee Lewis in Great Balls of Fire. He was in White Earp. He was Doc Holliday. Weirdly, he was the Reverend in the Footloose remake, which I refused to watch. So I don't know if he's any good or not.
I didn't know they did a remake.
Yes. why remake it?
Exactly.
So people are talking about they're actually actively trying to wrestle the control back from Back to the Future from the people that own the Back to the Future rights because they desperately want to make Back to the Future again.
Oh, why?
Leave it alone. Unless you're making it with Eric Stoltz, of course. But anyway, doesn't matter. I know. Let's get off that. And weirdly, one of his next films, he's playing Ronald Reagan. So yeah, Dennis Quaid. Dennis Quaid's kind of like those. Yeah, it's all right. But I genuinely liked him in this. He just didn't have much of a. It doesn't do much.
Doesn't he?
Until
Smokes
the
a
end.
lot.
He does smoke a lot.
Smokes a hell of a lot.
So he's taking cocaine. He's smoking a lot. Well, he's getting through it anyway. Bess, if I can say it, Bess Armstrong, who played Catherine, is his love interest and the marine biologist at the park, who obviously trained Sandy and Cindy the dolphins. Yeah. Unfortunately, she didn't do anything else after this.
She had perfect hair all through the film, though. Did you notice that?
She did, yeah. She did. Simon McCorkindale. I love the character of Philip Fitzroyce.
Oh, God. Sorry. He was a complete knob in this film.
Great. He's just great. He's confident. He knows what he's going to do.
Oh, no.
You've got the Simon McCorkindale, for people of a certain age, will always be Manimal. Manimal was just bizarre 80s, beautifully bizarre 80s TV. Where,
did he make that after this or?
At the same time.
Oh, God.
Which is why he was popular. And then for those people who watch Falcon Crest, of course, he was Greg Reardon. But, you know, for any of those people who watch Falcon Crest. Lou Gossett Jr. Tell me where you've seen him before, sweetheart.
Sorry, which character's that?
He's Calvin Bouchard, the guy that owned it.
Oh.
Oh, it's one of our early podcasts. One of my favourites.
No, don't know.
He played Chappie Sinclair in Iron Eagle.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Got that now. Yeah.
He played Chappie Sinclair in Iron Eagle 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 being they kill Doug Masters, Jason Gedrick's character, at the start of 2.
What are we talking about now? Sorry.
Iron Eagle.
Oh.
But in 4, he's brought back miraculously. That he didn't die, he was just shot down. No, that plane vaporized. I mean, pretty much. Anyway, Iron Eagle 4. I need to go back. I need to go back and watch that. Trust me, that will not be on the cards for any sequels. I don't think I can get away with that. We've got Officer Gentleman. I found out he was Lucius Fox, so the character played by Morgan Freeman in the Christian Bale Batman films. He plays Lucius Fox in a Batman TV series in 2007. That passed me by. At this point, Joe's listening to this and going, "You didn't know there was a Batman series in 2007? No, I genuinely didn't. I didn't even look up who played Batman. I mean, I'll do that afterwards. He was in Watchmen. Officer, as I say, Officer and Gentleman. Yeah, Enemy Mine. He's Lou Gossett Jr., you know, and for my mind, because of this film and because of Iron Eagle, I've got a fond. I genuinely like the way that he does stuff, those performances. I mean,
didn't particularly take to the character though in this movie.
No, but there are parallels between him and Mayor Vaughn in number 1, and they're not meant to be. I mean, you're not meant to join the dots and go, "Oh, he's just acting like that." But there are things that he does, which is never mind public safety and never mind all of that. Just it's all about dollars. It's all about moving the shark.
All of his decisions were the wrong decisions.
Yeah, they were. Considering he had a background in running amusement parks, because they say at one point this is the biggest opening out of all of your amusement parks. You're kind of like, oh right, okay. Obviously got this one wrong. John Putch, so Sean Brody. Not a lot. But he was in The Sure Thing. I can't remember him in The Sure Thing. He was in Men at Work. Joe, I managed to get a Emilio Estevez and Charlie Sheen reference in there. Yes, go watch Men at Work. It's that bad. And he was a journalist in Star Trek Generations. And the only journalists I remember of Star Trek Generations are the one where Alan Ruck, Cameron from Ferris Bueller, is taking the ship out at the start of Generations. So he must be one of the journalists that put a microphone into his face. And I'm like, what? And then I noticed, what's John Putch doing these days? And he's making a documentary about his Star Trek memories. And I'm like, you played a journalist that was on screen for probably about 7 to 8 seconds in Generations, and you're making a documentary about it. And I think, I don't know if that's madness or if that's pure genius, and I want to see it.
Or you've got your facts wrong.
No, it's true. I looked that one up. He's making a documentary about Star Trek Generations. Hi, I'm John Putch. I played a reporter in yeah. And you can only show the same 7 seconds on a loop. Anyway, Leah Thompson. Oh yes, the lovely Leah Thompson. Red Dawn, Back to the Future, Some Kind of Wonderful, Howard the Duck, Caroline in the City, great sitcom, really good. But then she's been in things that I haven't seen, she's been in a lot of Jane Doe movies. I don't know what they are, but she's done loads of them. So obviously to my American friends that are big Jane Doe fans, I do apologize, but yeah. And again, a massive series called Switched at Birth. Nope, haven't watched it. And she's in the new series of Picard, which I refuse to watch because I'm a Star Trek fan, so I won't be watching it. In the same way that I don't watch Star Trek Discovery because it's awful. Just before we get to final two, P.H. Moriarty, Hatchet Harry in Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels, and also Razors in A Long Good Friday, which we covered. So you're like,
he's not very good, is he?
Don't
give him a speaking part.
No, he's good in Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels. What?
Wasn't in this at all.
He was good in Long Good Friday. In this one, he just
didn't do a lot in Long Good Friday, did he? Didn't talk a lot.
It's all right. The governor, this is how we earn our bread. I mean, that's the kind of caricature he's reduced to in this, which is the Cockney. He's the only one that probably shows genuine emotion when Philip Fitzroy gets swallowed.
It's probably because he's out of a job.
Well, yeah, but his genuine emotion is obviously, suddenly I'm like, wait a minute, suddenly somebody's trying acting. It's just, this might be a bit late in the day, but I'm happy to see a bit of genuine emotion. But Dan Blasco, you ready for this? This won't mean anything. And Liz Morris played the two trainers either side Bess Armstrong. So when he comes in on his jet ski, he goes, "Hi, Dan." Right. They play Dan and Liz in this film. And their only acting credits are this film. They haven't done anything else. They haven't appeared in TV or any other film. And I thought, if I had more time, I need to investigate. Did they win something?
Were they part workers, do you think?
Well, I don't know. I mean, because if you're an actor, presumably you go, well, I haven't had many roles. You haven't had one role and then you go, that's it, I'm hanging it up. I mean, it wasn't that bad that you thought, I never want to be acting again. Not that Dan did act, because he was wooden as a board, which makes me think that he was somebody's brother's, cousin's best mate or something that just went, oh, I'll do it. I'm tall and I can wear a polo shirt.
One of the SeaWorld workers. Did they film it at SeaWorld?
They did, which is why I said I wanted to go to SeaWorld to see where they filmed it. Yeah. Anyway, onto the story. We have got a few things, and it's I'd say the 3D was great for 1983 in the cinema, and obviously because they've converted it out to new 3D, it's pretty good. But I do like the thing in the credits where it goes, suggested by the novel Peter Benchley, by Peter Benchley. Suggested? Don't think anyone suggested this. This film was going to start out as something different. It was actually going to be Jaws. It was going to be called Jaws 3, People Nil. That was the title of the film. And basically, they were going to get the people that wrote the National Lampoons, like Vacation, to write it. John Hughes had already worked on the script. The first scene was going to show Peter Benchley, the author of Jaws, in his luxury pool in LA, go into the pool and get eaten by a shark.
In a pool?
In a pool. and it was going to have Bo Derek in it, and it was basically going to send up the whole shark thing, and basically send it up and go, do you know what? We're just going to make a funny shark film. It's going to be a bit crazy. It's going to be a bit like this, a bit an Animal House, a bit of this, and and make a film like that. It didn't happen, thankfully, because we do have this, and as I say, there is a good film waiting to be made using this as a foundation, but this is not a good film, but it's a very enjoyable film, if I can say that. It's not, yeah. Can you say that? I enjoy it. I love it. I'd watch it again now.
Well, you do though, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
I don't think I'd watch it again.
I don't think you would. But you may actually turn around when we watch Jaws of Revenge and physically hit me at the end and go, why did I spend an hour and a half doing that? Look, it's not. Like, I've told you the Rotten Tomato scores, so
Yeah.
I did like the woman doing this. So if we go back to the start of the film, we start to see the setup, the exposition of what's going to happen. The shark makes it in because it follows the water skiers back into the lagoon.
Yes.
Yeah. I did like the woman doing the briefing, by the way, to all the people that were working there, where she goes, keep the shorts low, keep the shorts down to your knees or whatever. What'd she say? Show any cheek, you'll be back shoveling French fries. And she gives that like smile, and I'm like going, she'd be a pretty good boss. I think I'd enjoy working there, but then I don't look good in shorts. I did look good in shorts. Well, let's not go back into me looking good in shorts when I was 11. But anyway, but I do think the setup here is the smarminess of Lou Gossett Jr. is setting himself up like Mayor Vaughan. He's going, he's always talking about free drinks. I mean, he's got free drinks on the brain because he's going to the press that are there. Free drinks, yeah, let's go for drinks. Yeah, they're free. And he does that thing. And then when Philip Fitzroy, he comes, we used that soundbite in our credits in season 1. For any other questions, bar, if you please. And then he walks off to the bar. And you're like, everyone's obsessed with smoking and drinking in this film. But yeah, what did you think? Is like, nobody sees the fin coming in. That's what I don't understand. There's about 7 of them standing by the gate, and nobody sees the fin approaching the gate. It's a bit weird to start with.
Yeah. You think it kind of makes you think with all the music that something's going to happen right at the start of the film, but it doesn't at all.
Yeah.
And you have to wait for ages before
you do. It's a film with some remarkably few shark attacks.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So
Before fish gets in at the start,
yeah. The shark comes in, doesn't it? And the doors get jammed.
That's right.
So someone has to go down and sort the doors out.
Yeah.
So when he goes down there, that's when the attack happens, isn't it?
That's Shelley Overman, his name was. Yeah.
But it's got horrendous, I've even written horrendous effects. Red blood, a cracked mask, and a floating arm.
That cracked mask is a homage to, I know this is going to sound weird, to Lawrence of Arabia.
What?
Where Lawrence's thing gets tangled on, and so the director, Joe Alves, by the way, it's worth mentioning, the director, he only directed this film. He'd never done it before. He never did it afterwards. But Joe Alves was the production, if I got this right, production designer on Jaws and Jaws 2. So they felt that it was in safe hands with him directing this one. But that scene where the mask gets on there is supposed to be.
So you don't actually see anything. It's just red blood in the water, a cracked mask, and a floating arm, severed limb floating around.
Which looked good in 3D, which looks bad. And it even looks bad in the updated 3D, but at least it comes out at you. At least it's like right in your face.
Okay. And then it cuts to like some odd game of balance in the bar with the
because that's because then you've got Philip Fitzroy arriving as Sean, Mike seeing Sean, and then they go to but Sean apparently is a cowboy. When you see Jaws 2, Sean's a little lad. Obviously, there's supposed to be a lot of time that's passed between them now because they're all grown up. But yeah, Sean's a cowboy all of a sudden. I didn't see that coming.
There was some drink driving going on as well.
There was a lot. There was a lot of potential drink driving, I think. Didn't they leave the car?
No.
No, so they drove to that.
They drove to the
to have
the
some
shore,
nookie,
didn't they?
as they say. Can you say that? Can you say nookie?
Nookie, yeah.
Nookie.
I put canoodle.
Oh crikey! Should we go? How far are we going back on this? Well, I would say that their courting period was quite quick.
It was very.
They were
very,
literally. This all must have happened in a couple of hours.
Yeah.
She's like falling in love with him.
And I'd say it's more or less beer goggles. Whilst that's all going on at night, there's a couple of coral poachers, isn't there?
That's right. Yeah.
And like it's just bizarre because like supposedly the shark eats the diver, and like there's another guy on the boat who's got the diver attached to a rope.
Yeah.
And because he gets eaten, the rope gets yanked, and he goes in as well, and he gets snaffled up, doesn't he?
That's
but
right,
there's nothing. There's nothing left. So all that's left is like a.
How does the shark eat the boat? It doesn't make any sense.
Oh God, that's hilarious. It's almost like. Oh, I can't even be bothered to talk about it. It's just hilarious. It's just mental. Like the rope on the thing, and it punctures, and then it just goes under the water. And
it's dreadful. But this has been mixed. So you've got the coral steelers being mixed into the Sean. I've forgotten Leah Thompson's character's name.
Kelly.
Sean and Kelly, and then you've got Catherine and Mike find the car. Obviously, you're right then. So the drink driving, and they pretend to, but this is the bit I don't get. She's walking along, and Mike and Catherine are walking along, and she went, yeah, he doesn't, Sean doesn't like the water. And she goes, why not? Oh, remember that shark attack thing I told you about? And it obviously feels like a throwaway line. No. I mean, I'm not going to spoil it for you in Jaws 2. Do you remember that time that Sean came within millimeters of getting, obviously it's not a spoiler alert, he survived, but he came within millimeters of that. Do you remember the thing that horrendously, all they talk about, and all the therapy that he had, and all of the effect that it had, and he can't even have a bath without worrying, and all this sort of stuff, and it's just casually put in, oh yeah, you remember that shark attack thing? Yeah, that's why he doesn't go in the water.
But he's in there.
But he's in there because
in the dark.
He fancies a bit
go
of
in the water in the dark.
A bit of how's your father.
Oof.
So yeah, I love that. Anyway, Mike's
but then nothing happens to him because the sharks obviously had the couple of poachers, so he's had like starters and
they're all in. They're all in the lagoon.
So that's it then.
So we find out Mike's moving to Venezuela. I loved the scene after that where you see Sean Brody is sitting at the dinner table with a massive breakfast table with a massive hangover, and for all you dog lovers out there, you have Mike Brody holding up the dog's ears while it's drinking the milk, while it's drinking the water. That's kind of cool. I did like that. I always remember that. Lifting the dog ears. So yeah, it's Mike says, even that conversation around there, Mike says to Sean, well, it was you that messed me up. Right now, again, I don't want to go into the plot of Jaws 2 because you haven't seen it, but that's patently not true. When you watch Jaws 2, you realise Sean did it to himself. I know he was only 7, but he did it to himself. So that's unfair. I think we'll have to put it in there.
I made some notes and just basically crap underwater effects, worse than Thunderbirds. I think they go in that submersible diving thing, don't they?
Well, they go into the submersible film to look for the missing guys had severed limb, Shelley Overman. So they go into the submersible just to look for a dead body. And they go, we need to go and search around the lagoon. And I'm kind of like, aren't you letting preview visitors into the park? and you're not worried that this body's going to show up, somewhere. I mean, I get the bit why they have the submersible. I do like the bit. I mean, that is very, very bad special effects where Calvin's in the control room, right? And you see this submersible coming across, and it looks like I've drawn it. It's looking like I've drawn it, and I'm pulling it along with a piece of string, and I'm blurring it just for good effect, just to make up for me not being very good. But I do like the fact of the filtration pump. Suddenly they go past that and go, oh, what's that? Oh, it's a big, massive filtration pump. There's two of them. Oh, what does it do? Oh, it just brings in loads of water through it all the time. Ah. Anyway.
Let's not look there then. Yeah.
It's a bit like Jaws, where you have so in Jaws 1, I'm not going to spoil it for you in Jaws 2, but the bit in Jaws 1 is the tank. If you mess around with those, Martin, they're going to blow you sky high, and okay, good. You're going to need that for later in the film. Weirdly enough, they don't do it in Jaws of Revenge, because the way that the shark dies in Jaws of Revenge makes no sense whatsoever. But you will get to that at some point.
So they're down with this submersible thing.
Yeah.
And then they're...
Oh, and I heard you laughing. I think they could hear you laughing from space. So you take this one, sweetheart, because
no, it's fine.
No. What happens? They're looking around the galleon, and let's go from there.
Well, I can't remember it bit by bit because it's been a week since I've seen it. But I've written down dolphins warn of shark.
Yeah. Well, they're warned of something, but obviously
and then
it's going to be the shark, isn't it?
There's a clunky, really clunky shark attack.
The shark goes in with its belly up and a side thing, and it doesn't even open its mouth. It's not even animated. It just looks like a fixed head that somebody's jammed into the side of the galleon that then breaks a bit off the galleon, and you're like, couldn't you have stretched to something a little bit better with this? I mean, it's not even in proportion.
No,
because if you look at that, they then cut to they do this old trick. They cut to actual shark footage and make it look like, that's a shark that can move like that. By the way, the shark's movements and how quick it can go differ. The speeds on the shark in the film are just horrendous. But I mean, we will get to that.
So they're saying it's a great white and it's 10 feet long.
That's right. Yeah.
Yes.
And I like the way that the transition from below, where they're holding on to the dolphins and the dolphins are saving them, and they get to the top, and then the iconic Jaws music kicks in, and I've got to admit, I have little butterflies, and I'm like, oh, I love that. The fact that the shark, in proportion, if they'd stopped once, even for a second, would have just caught them, but no, obviously. The dolphin misses them, and the dolphin comes back.
The dolphins weren't swimming that fast, were they?
No, that's still pretty good.
The shark would have had them.
Yeah, well, they have. So they're in the lagoon, obviously, and then they shut the gates and capture the shark. But it takes them ages to get out. That shark would have just pulled one of them straight under, if not both, straight under. So yeah. So we've got this bit. So I do like that music. I've got an auditor alert moment. Did you get it?
Oh, I probably gave up at that point. All
right. See, I'm surprised he gave it a 4. Calvin sat in the undersea restaurant with P.H. Moriarty and Simon
the fact that he just tells them,
and he tells them,
out.
And he goes, no. He says, right, yeah, you've got to come with me. Right, these two people to you at the moment is a bit like if I met John Cusack or something like that, and I was like a rich person and I got John Cusack to come and cut a ribbon, for my 80s theme park that I created or something like that, right? What makes me think I can hang out with John Cusack in that way? I probably would have a very cordial dinner with him. He'd be very polite. I'd say, oh my God, sure thing, one crazy summer, say anything, love it. And mutually we would have parted. They act like they're best mates. And then at this point they're going, oh, I've got a real problem with the park. Is there any chance you want to come and see what's going on?
Let me into my inner sanctum.
What? Imagine if I said, "Yeah, the toilets are backed up, John. Do you want to come and see? Do you want to come and join me to see if anything's bring a mop?" But yeah, so they have this crazy idea that because the shark is now loose in the lagoon, they need to capture it.
In order to film the killing of it.
Well, that was the first bit. And then Catherine, Bess Armstrong, decides to convince Calvin that it'd be better if they tranquilize it and then nurse it to health and have a shark in captivity and regular bulletins every day.
Because the guy wants to just basically kill it with some explosives.
Yes.
And they're like, hang on a minute. No. You can't use explosives because of the big structure that we've just built that's cost $34 million to build.
Oh, and at this point we go, yeah, these explosives will grenade it into oblivion. Honk, big massive neon sign should be going up here going, yeah, just in case you're wondering.
I mean, the boss guy doesn't even interject with that, does he? It's the trainer lady.
Yeah, she goes,
no explosives, but you can't kill it.
Oh, she does
from a humane point of view. Not from. Surely, if you were the park owner, somebody said, "Yeah, let's just get some explosives out," and you'd be like, "You're doing what?"
Yeah, my finely tuned theme park. I've
just spent $34 million building this thing, and you want to go and blow it up just because we're going to film blowing up a shark? Don't think so.
Oh, for those, I mean, first of all, Calvin's watching it through the most grainiest black and white CCTV you can ever see. How you can even pick up anybody's expressions or anything like that, or even the fact that he's holding a grenade. He might as well be holding a tree stump. You can't make it out. But the Karen look that Bess Armstrong goes when Calvin goes, "No grenades," and then she does this Karen thing where she goes, "Yeah, I was right." Oh, that annoys me so much, that look. And I'm just like, all right, okay, you got your own way, but there were never going to be grenades in there. It's fine. Again, with the 3D throughout this, you get things that pop out, things that get shot at you. The syringe, where they take the syringe.
The squirting thing.
What was the reason? There was no reason for that. They take it into the vial, into the syringe, and then just check, and they squirt at you. It looked very good in 3D. There's no need for it whatsoever. Again, you have that you have the underwater scene. She's wearing a chainmail suit. She gets attacked. Mike does his thing, gun jams, and of course, that's one of the famous 3D shots.
I want to ask, right?
Go on. I was going to say, just a famous 3D shot of him firing the gun and the harpoon come towards you in the cinema. Everyone went like that. It was great.
Right.
Great.
Okay.
Scene.
If they know that there's supposedly a shark that's
wait a minute, you're just going to start applying logic? Are we? Because this is where it might fall
no,
down.
No. When we watched Jaws, the original movie,
yes,
and Richard Dreyfuss's character brings on the shark metal cage.
Yes.
Why did they not use a metal cage and harpoon the shark so they were protected, but harpooning the shark?
Because they had to film it. Well, it probably would look worse with the cage. I would be guessing. I'm just thinking about that on the hoof.
So they're not bothered about their safety and the fact that the head trainer is in the water.
But she's wearing a chainmail suit. But I don't understand why.
That's everything then, isn't it?
No, but she is, but nobody else is. So they're actually hoping that the shark goes for her.
It just
because if it goes for any of the others, nobody's looking everywhere.
They just haven't really done their risk assessments.
There's only 3 of them in the pool. 3 of them in the lagoon. So nobody's looking behind, Jack and Philip Fitzroy. Nobody's looking that way. I mean, it's a nice, there are moments in this that genuinely are. The shark crashes and grabs a tank and stuff like that, and you're thinking, oh, okay, this is all right, I suppose. But then you get a Jack moment when he comes out and he goes, "Oh, it's all right. I'll carry the stuff. Don't ignore the bleeding help." And it's just a caricature of that.
So they eventually catch this shark, don't they?
But I don't understand all that sensor tech that they must have in the lagoon. All of the monitoring, all those whistles and bells, and as I think they say in Spaceballs, what does this machine do? It just flashes, and it just I think it was or Airplane too.
Oh, in the control center.
It just buzzes and flashes. What does it do? I don't know. But it does buzz and flash. All right, okay, that's good. Nobody can detect a 10-foot shark. Nobody can detect a 35-foot shark, which we'll get to. I mean, this is where it gets, if it hasn't already, and it sounds like it hit your implausibility meter quite early on. But they kill the shark. No, sorry, they tranquilize the shark. They move the shark, and brings it back to life in a smallest, small.
The nursery tanks.
Yeah,
and it's kind of like there, isn't it? But still like sedated, and like they're both standing like in the waist high in water, and they've got a pipe in its mouth.
And it's like
supposedly kind of like blowing in like the oxygen and stuff to kind of rush it through the gills so it can still technically breathe. But is that real? Is that what people would actually do? Because I thought
I don't think anybody's nursed. I don't think anybody's
they're going to get the legs like bitten off, aren't they?
Or arm bitten off if you're a Deep Blue Sea fan. By the way, so yeah, Deep Blue Sea. Stellan Skarsgård gets too close to the shark while it's been sedated, and then it wakes up and it bites his arm off. It's a great film. Deep Blue Sea, they actually killed the sharks in the same way that they were in Jaws 1, 2, and 3. Oh, there's so many homages to that film that they obviously go, look, we know that we're a bit player in this. It's still better than Jaws 3. So
it's all a bit sort of surreal. That was the bit that I have found a bit kind of like, I think surely that can't be real. That's how there's a shark back to.
Absolutely, but it does come back to life.
Well, it does because they get out the nursery pool.
Mike comes in at some point.
But surely that's not enough water.
Well, I don't know, but it's a party in the tank. Everyone's invited to the party except the shark. Feels like Weekend at Bernie's. It's like the shark's dead, and everyone else is having a party around him. Maybe Weekend at Bernie's 2. That means you will have to watch Weekend at Bernie's 1 if we did sequels that you haven't seen. But anyway, Anyway,
so Calvin.
Can I just say that the water ski shot when the park opens in 3D is brilliant, and it does get noted by reviewers that the water. I was about to say the water sport shots, but they are the water activities are filmed very well, and they are. That shot of Philip Fitzroy's filming them is a great shot. It's just a wonderful shot in this film. So I got to give the director that one. But yeah, so. Yeah, what happens to the shark then?
So Calvin announces that they've got this great white in captivity. It's the first one ever in captivity, and to go and see it in this particular tank. But it's not actually a tank, is it? It's like another pool that's like waist high. It's like what you see at aquariums. It looks
smaller than the tank that it's in.
Yeah, and like,
and the kids can put their hands.
Yeah, there's no protection.
So it'd be like, oh, can I stroke the shark when it comes past? It's a great white, for God's sake. It's probably, if it does wake up, which, again, we know that it doesn't because it dies.
Wait, yeah, it pops its clogs. It turns upside down.
It was because it was the wrong... When I was watching it, I genuinely thought because it was the wrong type of water or something. I just didn't understand why the shark just suddenly died when it was alive.
I don't know.
But... Again, what the reviewers that do like this said, I think there's a famous quote. I think I did have it. When they talk about the child crying, and saying how effective that is because you hear the child crying off camera, you don't see the child crying. But the moment when an infant's cry is heard when the baby shark dies in the pool is particularly praised by one reviewer. Jet magazine said the child crying was the only cast member to survive the generally negative reviews. I was like, oh dear, when you're talking about somebody off camera, that's not good. But yeah, so we moved to that, and now we're in the third act. So now we're in the bit where Mike Brodie actually comes into life, actually takes center stage on this. They find Overman's body because the park opens. They go into the undersea tunnels. the girl sees that the quite, eaten, bloody body of Overman, and somebody pushes her, and it pushes her so her face is next to his in the tank, and she's just screaming. That's a lousy shot. That's just there for just cheap tricks. And
what was that like in 3D?
What, him coming out of the thing? Him coming up? That was good. It was good because you genuinely be going, at some point we're going to have to see where this guy went. Whether he's part of it. How are we going to find it? There's no big reveal. They expected it to be like a big reveal like the one in Jaws, where the head comes out the boat. It's not, the two don't compare. One's genius, the other one's what it is. But I like how when they get the corpse, Beth is now suddenly not a marine biologist. Catherine. She's not a marine biologist. She's now a pathologist. And she knows exactly what to do. It's a bit like Matt Hooper in original Jaws. He examines the body, but he's a marine biologist. So it's a bit, okay, I suppose he should know about bite radius. So
the weird thing is, though, isn't it, when they take the cover off first of the body that's on the table, and there's the obligatory sea creatures crawling out the mouth,
which they wouldn't have brought in, would they?
The eye socket, everything. You're like, that's a bit weird.
Yeah. But while they're making their way down to tell Calvin, there's a problem with one of the filtration pumps. I do like that undersea, because Calvin takes the call on the bar. And he goes, well, it's easy. Just shut down pump 2 and switch over to pump 1. Like it's easy. In that shot, go back and watch it if you're that way inclined. There's a guy sitting on his own, drinking on his own at that bar. And that's always bothered me, because we're opening up the Undersea Kingdom. We're opening up this brainchild of this, I'm going to get down there. I'm going to take the family. I'm going to take my mates. We're all going to go down there. We're all going to have a great time. We're going to see the water skiers. We're going to have lunch in the thing. We're going to have a drink there. We're going to sit there. Right. This guy obviously got up and went, yeah, I'm going to go to the opening of a theme park. I'm going to go down into the restaurant. I'm just going to sit at the bar and drink on my own. What a sad life for that man. But yeah, when you go back and watch it, he sat there and he doesn't look very happy either. It was like, there's better places to drink, mate. You probably paid 85 price or 83 prices, probably about $20 to get in here. It's a lot of money. Anyway, so guess what? The shark's in the filtration pump. Mama shark is in the filtration pump.
The word's got out, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Actually, you know the shark that was attacking people. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't
we
that
got the right one, have we?
Yeah, we haven't got the right one. I mean, best, when she's doing the autopsy, she holds her hands up and goes, "Oh my God," like that, as in like, this is a bigger shark than the one that we actually just caught and ended up killing.
So it's mum. They're looking for mum shark.
So I need to ask you a question. Well, I need to ask you 2 questions at this point.
Yeah.
One, how long has Mama Shark been in there? And 2, how is nobody, including the control room and all the sensor tech and everything else going on, not noticed a 35-foot shark? Oh, I do have a follow-up question. How did it get in? Because the 35-foot shark wouldn't have got in through those gates.
All the gates weren't fixed straight away, though, were they?
No, but the shark that... So you're saying the shark that came in right at the start was the mama shark? And then they say she gave birth inside the park. This is where it all starts unraveling very, very fast and very badly.
I think
that's not a new shark.
No, I think what happened was the shark. Hang on. The shark that killed the first guy that went to padlock the gate.
Yes.
Because he obviously didn't padlock it, did he?
Yeah. I don't know why you padlock a gate that needs to open, motorized gate, but let's not go into that.
There we go.
Yeah.
Was he killed by the baby shark or was he killed by the mum shark?
Well, the mum shark was already in. So do you assume that the shark that went in was the mama shark and then hid in the filtration pipe in the pump and gave birth in the filtration pump, and the shark that they encounter and tranquilize and then end up killing is she's just in the filtration. She's in.
Oh, hang
doesn't
on.
come out of the filtration pump.
Right.
Much.
So Wikipedia's plot line is saying later Overman's corpse is discovered. Reviewing the body, Kay realizes that the shark that killed him is the first shark's 11-meter long mother, 35-foot long mother, and that it must also be inside the park. So
that's not true, because she says she goes, we found Overman's body and the bite radius is bigger than the shark that we caught.
Yes. So the first guy to get bitten was actually the mum shark.
Yes.
So she was in at that point.
Right. So the mum shark killed the coral people, the coral divers must have done, and killed Overman. So the shark that was in that they caught never did anything apart from crash badly into a galleon.
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah. It's just bizarre. So you've got this issue. I always knew at a young age, sharks need to keep moving because they take the air in through the gills. They need to keep moving. Whereas you've got this static 35-foot shark in a filtration pump. How did it get in there?
But is the filtration actually blowing where it's gone in? Is it actually sending water out? Which would mean that logic fits, because
so what, does the shark just stay in there and go, oh, this is lovely, I get all the air comes
great,
to me.
It's like
it's just weird that the shark's hiding out in the pump.
It doesn't make sense.
Anyway,
can sharks swim backwards?
No, they can't.
Well, how does it get out the pipe then?
You're applying logic to a film where we've got undersea glass that's about to smash, but we will get to that. So there is so because they shut it down, the shark gets free, and this is where you start to see, because Calvin again has to explain it, and Philip Fitzroy goes, "This is great. How do you get all these tiny sharks and fish to stay in the one area? Oh, we've got these bubbles. They don't like it, so they stay in and they don't go through the bubbles. Mama shark is loose. Mama shark doesn't care about the bubbles because she's too big, and that's where you see it. And I kind of like the bit where you see the shark. I like the reaction from the people inside. Again, it cuts to the most wooden shark that you've ever seen, with a huge, I mean, it just looks bad, but it's a nice reveal. And suddenly you go, right, okay, well, we're on now, because this thing is loose. You tried to suffocate it. You will try again to suffocate it, bizarrely, like a shark wouldn't know. But there is a theory going around, because of the preposterous premise of Jaws: The Revenge, that what they wanted for this film is they also wanted the shark that was the shark from Jaws 2 to be the shark in Jaws 3. And I don't want to spoil it for you too much, but it's just they wanted that to happen, and it can't happen because for many reasons. But when the shark gets loose, because Jaws 4 is called Jaws: The Revenge, and the shark is targeting the Brody family, there's a theory that this shark is related to the other sharks, and somehow they have this communication thing going on. Because when the shark gets loose, who's the first person it goes for?
Well, it was the guy mending the doors.
No. When it gets loose, and in the final act, in the third act, who's the first person that goes for? It goes for Sean. Out of all the people that could attack, again, you have this big reveal with the big fin and everyone's screaming and getting everybody in and the water skiers and stuff like this. But who did it actually go for? It goes for this tiny little boat, this like round little dinghy boat that him and Leah Thompson are in, and tips it over and they both fall in. The intention was that the shark was going specifically for Sean. So there's a lot of people that think that this is a related shark. It's a theory. It's nothing more than a theory. But again, Leah Thompson doesn't get eaten. She just gets very badly injured.
Yeah, she's not, it doesn't even like take a chunk out of a leg. It doesn't. It just cuts it.
Yeah, absolutely. Just grazes
it. A shark attack would actually get some of you and rip it off, wouldn't it?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Not like if someone's done that with a knife down your leg, because that's what it looked like.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got these people in the underwater tunnels, and this is where they even left some of the green screens in. They couldn't be bothered to fill in some of the back things. If you go back and look in, they've just left some green screen in because they maybe just run out of money or time or whatever else to just do it. It looks awful. But while they're in the tunnel, the kid goes, "Oh, look at the big fish, mummy." Not all this, right? Which you think the kid can see. Cuts to another shot. The shark's about like half a mile away. And you're thinking nobody can see that because, it's miles away. It's in the distance. It comes, it knocks the tunnel, depressurizes it, lets the water in. They're trapped in this underwater sealed place. And it's just like, and meanwhile, up there, if you just saw on the trailer, people falling through jetties, seemingly balsa wood, made out of balsa wood rather than actual wood, because this thing folds like a pack of cards. The whole area has just seen this shark's fin, and it's huge. And the people that were around in the boats area would have seen the shark attack. There were loads of people when she was being dragged out. So this makes this next scene absolutely preposterous. The spokesman comes out at night and then goes, so suddenly it turns to night, and goes, "Just want to let you know, we've had a minor incident and involving some, structural damage and stuff like this." I'm like, dude, everyone's just seen the shark, right? Everyone knows that you've still got a shark problem in the lagoon at the moment, right? And it's almost like, police squad, nothing to see here. Or indeed, Mayor Vaughan going, "We have in fact captured and killed a large predator, but it's a beautiful day. You can see everyone's having fun." And, and you've got that sort of, and I kind of thought, yeah, maybe that's like a nod, a tip to a homage, but yeah. So Philip Fitzroyce goes, "You know what? Let's kill this thing. Let's get it back into the filtration pipe and suffocate it."
Like that worked.
So they go, "Oh, okay, we can go in there." Well, how are you going to get him in there? Philip Fitzroyce's famous line, "Live bait."
Yeah.
So they do, both of them, him and Jack, P.H. Moriarty, both go into the tank and lure the shark back in. One thing I didn't know, how did Jack go above the shark?
I don't know.
To lock it in.
I don't know.
And suddenly he's like locking him in. Philip Fitzroyce has tied this rope. It comes free. And
but where does the rope go? And how did they get the rope there in the first place?
Yeah, well, yeah. Well, exactly, yeah. But the reason why they're doing this is because they can not only kill the shark, but Mike can go out and film and repair the tunnels.
Yeah.
So that we can get the people out.
Yeah.
Philip Fitzroyce is swallowed whole by the shark. He's crushed.
But you see inside his mouth and everything.
Yeah, yeah.
Like...
You see it from the mouth's perspective, looking at the guts perspective, looking out of the mouth. I thought that was quite a good shot. It's not. It's just different. There's so many different ways you could have filmed that, and I went, yeah, all right, okay, that's not too bad. But his dying thing is he tries to get the grenade, but oh no, he's clutched in his hand, and the shark hasn't swallowed him properly because he's still in his throat. Which, if you're a shark, you must go, "Let me clear my throat." You must have to like eat him. I mean, why would you keep him in your throat? It'd be like, oh.
Yeah.
So anyway,
and you wouldn't eat it whole.
Yeah, absolutely.
Would you?
And
backwards.
Yeah,
because he's gone feet first. So sure, if he's gone in feet first,
yeah,
he's going to try and swim away, and the shark's going to do that, isn't it?
Well, yeah. And you've got Philip Fitzroy, who knows how to kill sharks. And what's he end up doing? Takes his mask off and hitting the top of his head with a mask. And I'm like,
that's going to work.
No, dear me. Dear me. Anyway, thankfully, we're nearly at the end before we get to trivia time.
Oh, and right.
Oh, look at you sparkling into life. Yeah.
Why do they suddenly introduce a sound effect that makes it sound like the shark is roaring?
Well.
What's that about?
Okay, the shark roars a lot more in Jaws: The Revenge.
Oh my God.
There's a roaring story to that, which I'll leave for when we do that. if we do that. Yes. Mike's out there doing all this undersea welding. Bess Armstrong is in the control room and gets her diving stuff on. And Calvin's, what are you doing? He goes, he needs eyes in the back of his head because he can't see anything. No, they've locked the shark in, but the shark gets loose by using its fin and bending the steel pin, which then opens up the gate, and the shark backs out.
Backs out. Oh, let me swim
the
back.
Reversing lights, you might as well the reversing set of the shark coming out.
35
backwards.
foot. That's a long, long way, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Back out of something.
Yeah.
Because the tunnel's longer than him.
Again,
her, isn't it?
Yes. Again, it can't happen. But when you look at the tunnel, that shark moves pedestrian.
Yeah, it's very
could have easily just gone straight to Philip Fitzroy, put him in his mouth, bit him into, and gone, great, I'll turn around, which it looked like it had plenty of room to turn around, but it doesn't. It just backs out because obviously the film. But yeah, so she goes and says, I'll be the eyes in the back of his head. She does a really lousy job because she only sees the shark when it's about 10 feet away. Right, and then goes, taps Mike on the shoulder. We really need to get away. We need to get back now. She's a lousy job as a lookout. It was really bad. They get into the bit where they get into the control room, and this is where I don't understand it. The shark's side of its mouth and a tooth gets jammed in the door while it's trying to eat them. And I went, well, now the proportions are off because it looks like a very small shark rather than a big shark. But I don't think anyone was bothered at this point. They just went to finish the film. So they get up there, they look, and the shark is coming towards the glass partition. The glass
control center.
The control center, the glass. So talk to me about this in 2D.
I don't.
I'll talk to you in 2D. I'll talk to you about it in 3D.
All I just thought was Shark Attacks Control Center, very rubbish graphics.
Yes. So if you had that, if that was real, that shark. So again, I'm just going to reference Deep Blue Sea here. There's a way that the clever sharks in deep, they're supposed to be clever sharks, by the way. I'm not just making that up. There's this clever way that they'd actually break the probably 2 foot glass that it would need to be because they're pressurized. There's a clever way that they managed to do that, and it's not instant, it's bit by bit. It's very clever. Here, it takes the snout of the shark to press gently, moving at presumably 2 miles an hour to suddenly break this glass. In 2D, it looks awful. On TV, it just looks like it probably is the worst special effect ever put on because it doesn't make any sense. Actually, second worst, there's one at the end, which is even worse. But anyway, in 3D, it looks slightly better, like I remember it. But again, I was watching it back in '83 and just thought this is the best thing in the world. It's great. His nephew gets eaten at this point. By the way, sharks don't chew. They don't chew a person. They if they can't eat it whole, they sever everything until it's managed into manageable chunks. But anyway, that's just a thing. How did they kill the shark, sweetheart? Go for it.
Right. Okay. So I need to point this out. Okay. So it's there's a reason, right? So the shark attacks the control center.
Yes.
I don't know if you remember this, but the shark actually eats one of the unknown actors in the control room.
That's what I said. He'd just eaten the nephew. Yeah.
Oh, it's oh, right, okay. So it eats that person.
Yeah.
Then they managed to see.
Yes. Yeah. I see where you're going with this. Okay.
The guy with the grenade still in the mouth of the shark.
You know what? I've watched this so many times. I've
But
never
that wouldn't
thought
have
of
happened.
that. That's perfect.
Because he's eaten another guy.
Absolutely. The other guys pushed Philip Fitzroyce down as well. Unless the guy, the black guy that he kills, grabs it from him. And oh no. That's great. Do you know, I've watched that so many times. I've never noticed that.
So I was like,
that makes well, again, it already makes a final act that makes zero sense.
yeah, so they see I've put it here. They see the brick guy with the grenade in mouth. Apart from the fact Shark has just eaten some unknown actor in the control room, they managed to poke a metal rod. So this is, highly dangerous.
He bends underwater throughout all of this.
Yep.
He bends a metal rod while the shark is.
So they've got enough time, and then it's a bit like hook a duck. You don't quite.
It is, but
it
just made me think of something else now. The shark actually comes into the control room and eats the guy.
Yeah.
But the shot is from the shark's head, just coming in with most of the body out of the control room. So it's either swimming around, eating whoever he finds,
or he's got a mate.
Oh.
So yeah, they managed to fashion
There's three sharks potentially.
They managed to fashion some kind of hook a duck contraption. Managed to poke it in. Oh, there you go. Got it. Pull the pin. So if they're pulling the pin, they're right next to the shark. What's going to happen?
Everyone's going to go up like
everyone's going to blow up.
Chinese New Year, like a fireworks show. Boom! The whole thing goes.
No, because the dolphins come along.
No, because I think you said the dolphins were trying to coax it back out.
I'm sure the dolphins come along and get them.
No. No, the dolphins. When that thing is pulled, he's in his head is in the control room. When he blows up, he's about 40 feet out of in the lagoon. Again, I know it swims backwards. I know it's a fan of swimming backwards, but you can't do it that quick. And then you probably got one of the worst. You think I'm going to say this is the worst special effect? It isn't in the film. I'm still going to reserve it. But when the shark blows up, it looked great in the cinema, and it did look pretty good in 3D, despite the fact that when we get to trivia time, I'll tell you a little story about that, which we'll get to in a moment. But yeah, the shark gets blown up. The teeth come out and linger for a bit. Again, that's just for the 3D, just for the 3D audience. Done. Bess and Dennis Quaid make it up to the thing and start tapping the water. So, Cindy comes along. They can't find Sandy. They're worried about Sandy. Sandy comes out. Everyone's happy.
It does a somersault in the air, doesn't it?
However, I think they must have run out of money because the final shot is the two of them in the lagoon and the dolphins come out. I'm sorry for those people at home, but it's at either side of the film. The dolphins come out and the shot stops. So you're just like, oh, like that. Those two are cardboard dolphins.
Are they?
Yes. When you go back and look at it again, they're cardboard dolphins, as if somebody just put them into the shot.
Oh my God.
Two reasons. Probably because they couldn't get the dolphins to do that to get the shot. Second of all, just no more. There's no more money left. If you could just get one of the Amazon packages, and cut it out, and just stick a face on it. It's dreadful. It's the worst effect in a film full of bad effects. I still think it's a 7, and I still have to do trivia time. But let's have a little bit of trivia time, and then we can, yeah.
Well, I have got to put tea on.
All right, okay. Well, let's get to just whiz through trivia time because I think this is pretty good. Here we go. Here's trivia time.
Trivia time.
According to the book, Roy Scheider, who was in 1 and 2, Chief Brody, he was asked to appear in this film, and he said, Mistopheles couldn't talk me into doing it. They knew better than to even ask, even though they did want him. Reportedly, Scheider agreed to make Blue Thunder, which we covered on this podcast, in order to make sure he was definitely contractually unavailable to do this film.
Oh.
So he did Blue Thunder. And now, I genuinely think he's, it's on record, he's incredible in Blue Thunder. I think Blue Thunder is a good film.
It's not that good.
But Scheider had originally made Jaws 2 reluctantly due to a contract issue with Universal Pictures, whereby he owed the studio 2 films after we withdrew out The Deer Hunter. He was supposed to be in The Deer Hunter. Like he was supposed to play Christopher Walken's part. To get out the situation, he opted to do Jaws 2 in 1978, a movie in which he didn't want to work on it. And the studio went, if you work on that, we'll release you. You don't have to do 2 more, just this one, because we really need you to do Jaws 2. So yeah, he was asked. He was considered for this film. I wouldn't put I wouldn't put his good name to this. You know, there's nobody. You know, in Jaws: The Revenge, Ellen Brody, Lorraine Gary comes back, so she's back. So it's almost like this film didn't happen, really, in the grand scheme of things, because it, you know, the people that are playing Mike and Sean are younger than the people that are playing them in Jaws 3. So anyway, so the filmmakers initially wanted to have very few pop-out effects, but the execs pressured them to include them, worried the audience would be disappointed and spread bad word of mouth if the 3D was just used mainly for depth. Now, at this point, I have to point out that 2 weeks ago, we went to see Jaws in 3D. That was very good. Jaws doesn't have, apart from the head scene, it wasn't made to be poppy outy and look at this and pointy and all this. It's not meant to be that. But the 3D on that worked, and it worked really well, I thought. And so maybe if they'd had a bit more bravado and gone, look, let's not have the eel popping out, and let's not have the serpent at the front of the undersea kingdom, and the octopus that grabs the girl. That's weird. And then the tentacle that just stays like that in the middle of you're like, why are you doing this? Anyway, the film made $13.5 million in its first weekend. Not too shabby. It held the record for the highest grossing opening for 3D film until Spider Kids 3 Game Over in 2003 made $33 million. Nice story. The female dolphin Sandy in the movie is really a male dolphin called Capricorn. He lives in Discovery Cove, which is owned by SeaWorld Orlando, and has interactions with guests like giving rides and so on. Capricorn is 50 years old.
Now?
Yeah. Still alive.
Oh.
Yeah, Capricorn. It's the only Jaws movie which doesn't feature any scenes set on Amity or anything in Martha's Vineyard. They do go back there for Jaws and Revenge. Maybe the only thing that's any good. The Brody brothers appear in all 4 Jaws films. They're the only ones that are consistent. Unlike the previous 2 or subsequent Jaws films, the shark in Jaws 3 only surfaces once throughout the entire film. Surfaces, excluding shots of the shark's fin. The only time it breaches the water when it attacks Kelly in the dinghy boat. That's it. And you're like, so no wonder when you said at the start, I would have liked a bit more shark with my shark film. You know,
a bit
because
more terror.
Yeah, a little bit. But
maybe you should have had the chainsaw with him.
And then the last 2 was in one of the remade shots when the shark explodes. Some of the entrails that fly out the screen in 3D, some of the entrails, one of them is a brown leather ET doll. I've never gone and had a look at that, but apparently that just chucked in there because maybe I don't know how much this ran out of money. Lastly, and then the last bit, the UK cinema version was cut by 7 seconds by the BBFC to edit close-up scenes of Overman's mutilated body and to remove a shot of the sea worm emerging from his mouth. So when you're talking about on the table, the cuts were restored in the video version and the certificate upgraded to a 15.
Yeah.
two-dimensional VHS, Laserdisc, and TV versions use an alternate opening credit, entitling the movie Jaws 3 rather than Jaws 3D. Later, 2-disc releases, including the newly released Blu-ray, were mastered straight from a 3D print and used the original Jaws 3D title. For the UK premiere on here we go on ITV in January 1987. I should have mentioned that at the start. All shots of Overman's body were completely removed. So now you cut out the fact that he's been found. When the corpse first appears in the window of the underwater tunnel, it cuts away before it's seen. The subsequent shot of the girl pressed against the window is removed. In the following scene, when they're examining the corpse on the table, Mike Brody removes the sheet and it quickly cuts to the next scene.
But
that you don't see Blasco, about how big the mouth is. Yeah. She does tell Calvin when she gets to him, she's like, a mouth this big, and Philip Strauss goes, don't be stupid, that would be a shark of around 30 feet. You know, like that couldn't happen. This version is different to the cut BBFC PG certificate cinema release, as in that version, all shots are simply reduced. In this one, so the one that I saw, the corpse was there. Then they took it out. So in its 1988 broadcasting on CBS, the film removes the profanity along with some of the shark violence. In addition, the shark's teeth at the end were edited out. And then lastly, released in Japan in proper 3D on the short-lived VHD format. This release has been widely copied to make bootleg 3D tapes and DVDs. So that's where mine comes from, is the Japanese VHD format. There you have it. So, I did think we would have to start this with an apology that I'd made you watch this, but it sounds as if you had a little bit of fun. A little bit of fun.
Yeah, it was fun to watch. It wasn't scary.
No.
It was fun in the sense of, because the effects were so bad, really. It was comical. The whole kind of decision making of the guy that owned the park was just of detriment to the whole thing, really.
Yeah, absolutely. But you know, it is what it is. It's a product of what it is, and it is what it is, and just go along for the ride. And I'm sure that you'd be like me, if we were flicking the TV and it came over to a particularly laughable scene, we'd just watch it and then probably laugh together. But I genuinely have a soft spot for this film because
was there any financial input from SeaWorld into the film? Because if it, the reason I ask it is because if the film was to bomb, it would tarnish the SeaWorld name somewhat, would it?
There is I mean, that's a good question, and it's one of those things that I don't know the answer. I would think if you were SeaWorld, you'd be happy for somebody to use it, and obviously them to fund this. The film ended up making a grand total of $90 million in total, which is okay. I suppose backers didn't lose their money or whatever, but it seems odd that SeaWorld, let's use this shark terrorizes SeaWorld. Oh, is there any chance we can use SeaWorld? It just seemed like an odd decision. So there must have been some financial input the other way, rather than SeaWorld paying them. I don't know. That's a good question. And if I know the answer, I'll tell you on the next podcast.
And it was really sad because you saw, like, at the start of the film as well, the dolphins that were swimming around, all their fins were like curled over.
Yeah.
That's not good, is it?
It's not good, no. Anyway, there we go. Season 6 is back, and the next film, we've already decided the next film. We're doing the first 3 ourselves, and then the rest of the gang are coming in at that point. I think you decided what the next film was going to be, and it is going to be.
Oh, is that Beverly Hills Cop 2?
That's the one. That's the one we're doing. We're leaving Lethal Weapon 2 because I know Dom desperately wanted to come in on that one. So Dom, that's why we're leaving that for you, mate. When we do that, we're going to have a great time because that is a great film. But Beverly Hills Cop 2. Is it? I think I've already said whether or not I thought it's better than 1. But anyway, we will get to that. I'm looking forward to seeing that again. So there we go. It's a wrap. Lovely to have you back, sweetheart.
Thank you. Thank you for
and
having me.
I will see you in about 30 seconds time when I send off the recording for ready for editing.
Yeah. Do you want a cup of tea?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind. Yeah, that'd be lovely.
All right, then.
Thanks.
I'll pop the kettle on.
Pop the kettle
and I'll
on.
start the tea as well.
All right. Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Love that.
All right.
Anyway, I'm going to say cheerio.
And toodle pip.
Bye.